Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 30 cards revealed so far from Set 4 Ursula's Return. We're about a month away, and we're going to be getting so many card reveals. So I thought now was a good time to just collect all the ones we've got so far, give it a nice little review, and then we'll keep these coming. So make sure you subscribe for more Disney Lorcana Set 4 card reviews, and give the video a like if you're excited for Set 4 as well. We're going to start off with Ruby and work our way through. Hercules Clumsy Kid. It's a very similar card to Rafiki from Set 1. It's a rush character. Rafiki from Set 1 was considered the best card in the game by many people. Of course, in Set 2, we got Madam Mim Fox, which has overshadowed Rafiki. But Rafiki is still a very good card in its own right. And I think that Hercules Clumsy Kid will absolutely see some play in color combinations, most likely not paired with Amethyst. Also worth mentioning, there is a very similar card to this in Ruby already, which is Peter Pan, which is a 3-cost uninkable as well. It's the exact same card, except it has just 2 willpower. So Hercules, that extra willpower, is a really, really big deal, actually. Being able to leave Hercules on the board, maybe then just healing it with something like Rapunzel, for example. There's potentially some synergy there. I think this card will definitely see some play. I think it's really good. All right, up next we have Fazo. This is one in Italian, but you can see the translation above me. It cannot challenge, and its ability is you can ready chosen Milan character. It cannot quest for the rest of the turn. Now this looks pretty lackluster, but let's not forget about the Milan card, which was revealed a couple weeks ago, which we'll take a look at in just a second. We did also get another Milan character revealed since, which is a shift target, which is very important because the next card we're looking at is a huge, huge card. So bear in mind, the main reason to play this Milan is it's a shift target. It's a 1/3 inkable 2 cost. Quest for 1. Whenever you play an action, this character gets +2 strength this turn. Now, it does say whenever, so I would assume that this stacks as well. So if you're playing maybe Ursula and green, Emerald Ruby, this card could maybe get a bunch of value through that. Obviously, Morph as well, a nice shift target for the big card, Milan Elite Archer. What a card this is. Possibly the biggest powerhouse we've seen really revealed from Set 4 so far. This was revealed a few weeks ago, so we have talked about it before. It's a 2/6, 6-cost inkable, shift 5, quest for 2. When you play this character, if you used shift to play her, she gets +3 strength this turn. And during your turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, deal the same amount of damage to 2 other chosen characters. So if you have Milan, Enemy of Entanglement, down on the board on turn 2, or I guess not on turn 2, on turn 4. And then on turn 5, you shift in Milan Elite Archer. You can deal 5 damage to 3 characters at once, which is pretty insane. So this card is therefore good as just a cheap shift target. And this card is also worth considering because you could potentially get your Milan Elite Archer through and deal even more damage to even more things, right? If you've got the Fazo, you ready up your Milan, you get to challenge with it again, potentially dealing 5 damage to 6 characters in a single swoop. Pretty damn impressive. Overall, I think that this card seems a little bit weak, even with the synergies. This card doesn't seem great in its own right, but it's going to be solid with Milan. Particularly, I think, in a Emerald and Ruby deck, which of course gives you access to Morph, which would be a nice target for Milan as well. Pretty interesting stuff. I mean, this is the big powerhouse card. The rest, a little bit lackluster overall. Hercules is okay too. All right, also Goofy, which was also already revealed, but I really like the look of this card, honestly. 4-cost inkable, 2/4, also with Rush, quest for 1. Whenever this character challenges another character, gain 2 lore. That's really powerful. A Rush character gaining you lore? Yes, please. I think this card's pretty damn good. All right, up next we have Amber. We have a 2-cost inkable item called Record Player. Whenever you play a song, chosen character gets -2 strength until the start of your next turn, and your character's named Stitch counters having +1 to sing songs. So, not a huge deal on the Stitch part of things. I mean, the most obvious one is your 1-cost Stitch could sing 2-cost songs, and your 2-cost Rush Stitch in Ruby could sing 3-cost songs. Not really sure how relevant that is. Another bit of synergy to mention maybe is with Madame Medusa, perhaps. Being able to give your opponents negative stats to set up your Madame Medusa could be pretty interesting. Obviously, you could play this in a song deck. Personally, I don't think the card is great. I think it's an interesting one. With more Stitch cards getting printed this set, that could also have a big impact on how good the card is. Obviously, if you're playing a lot of songs already, removing your opponent's strength to make some efficient trades could be a powerful tool. Obviously, 2 cost already quite... you've already got items like Lantern, items like Sleepy's Flute, Pride Land's also an option. Could this also be an option in Songs decks? Perhaps. I would wager that Lantern, Sleepy's Flute, and Pride Lands are all more impactful than this, so I don't expect it to see much play, but definitely seems like there's a fun deck to be built around this card. Alright, Sign the Scroll up next. 3 cost, uninkable action. This card looks terrible. Each opponent may choose and discard a card. For each opponent who doesn't, you gain 2 lore. Maybe in a game with 4 players, this could be good, but in a standard game of Disney Lorcana, it's going to see 0 play. Daisy Duck, which was already revealed, just a 1/3 Amber card. Honestly, this will see some play. Amber doesn't exactly have the best 1-drops overall. In like an Amber Sapphire setup, this might be one of the better 1-drops available to you now. So she'll see some play. Also might be a shift target, of course. Felix Madrigal. I forgot to learn how to pronounce this properly before the video. This is a 2/4 card. I think this card already exists in the game. It's Piglet, but this just has some different tags. We've got Julieta Madrigal, 1/4, quest for 1. Whenever you play this character, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. If you remove damage this way, you may draw a card. So this card's pretty good. It's like a mini Rapunzel. I think she can definitely see some play. She doesn't exactly have the most impressive stat line, though, with just 1/4 that only quest for 1. You'd like maybe a little bit more strength or questing for 2, really. So she seems okay, but I'm not super impressed. We have Mirabelle Madrigal, which has support. Whenever this character quests, your other Madrigal characters get +1 lore this turn. So that makes these cards a little bit more impressive. I think it's a starter deck theme. Problem with this card, it's uninkable, which feels a bit bad. But you could play like Just in Time into this card, worth considering. All right, up next into Amethyst, and we'll start off by looking at the Amethyst Madrigal cards. Dolores Madrigal, a 3/3 quest for 2. When you play this character, if your opponent has an exerted character in play, you may draw a card. This is a pretty strong card. It does cost 4, but it has a very good stat line across the board. 3/3 questing for 2 and drawing a card. Kind of comparable to a Maleficent that costs a bit more, but you get a lot more bang for your buck as a result. Okay, the condition is conditional and not guaranteed, but you get 2 extra, basically you get a stat in every department, right? You get 1 extra strength, 1 extra willpower, and 1 extra quest. Pretty damn impressive card. I actually quite like the look of this. I think it will see some play. Up next we have Bruno Madrigal, which is an uninkable 5 cost, 4/5, quest for 1. When you play this character, chosen character gains. When this character is banished in a challenge, you may return this card to your hand this turn. So you play Bruno, and then you can give a character. When this character is banished in challenge, you may return it. So you might give, for example, your Rush Rafiki or your Madam Mim Fox, let's say, this ability, and then you get the Fox back in your hand, which is honestly pretty damn good. That seems like the best use for it on a Fox, because then the Fox can bounce something else back. You get the Rush. You maybe replay like a Merfolk. It's an interesting card. Again, the fact it costs 5, slightly problematic. It is a just-in-time target as well, so maybe some kind of Madrigal just-in-time Amethyst Amber deck could work. Up next, we have Luisa Madrigal, 4 cost uninkable with Rush. Doesn't seem that impressive. Certainly a weaker card than the Hercules. Certainly a weaker card than Rafiki already as well. So I don't think this one will see any play unless you have big Madrigal synergy. But doesn't seem like there's really enough there at the moment to build the deck around. Okay, Mystical Rose. This is actually a card I haven't seen yet. I haven't really read it and evaluated it properly. It's a 2 cost inkable item. Banish this item. It's also a rare. Banish this item. Chosen character named Beast gets +2 lore this turn. If you have a character named Belle in play, you move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. Wow, okay. There's a lot going on here. So it's an item which you can only use once, which is never ideal. It gives you 2 lore if you're already questing with Beast. So it looks like a Steel Amethyst card. But then Belle. I don't know. Seems, I mean, the best Belle card at the moment is in Sapphire. This seems like it could be okay down the line, but it's so conditional, right? It's a Beauty and the Beast support card, which is cool. but I don't really love the look of it. The other problem with this card is it says move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character. So you would have to have 3 damage on a specific character, as opposed to having like 3 different damage counters split across 3 different cards. It could be very powerful if you achieve its ability. Maybe like Mother Gothel, there's some synergy there. You can move the damage counters from Mother Gothel to deal 3 damage. That's pretty damn strong, in fairness. So maybe Mother Gothel with Ruby, if there's bells and beasts that you can combine there, like a Ruby Amethyst there. I don't know. It seems too conditional. It seems fun. If you can pull off the condition, it's gonna be good. But definitely gonna be reliant on some more cards being printed in set 4 that are beast and bell, in Amethyst in particular, because I don't think there's any beast or bell cards in Amethyst, and that's probably a big issue with the card right now. Ursula, Sea Witch Queen. Wow, powerhouse card. It's a legendary. It's got 4 strength, 7 willpower, quest for 3. It has shift 5, hello morph potentially. I'm definitely interested in this card in Emerald because of morph, but also the 2-cost Ursula being an incredible card to shift onto. Wow. Whenever this character quests, exert chosen character, and other characters can't exert to sing songs. So obviously there's a bit of anti-synergy with Ursula Sea Witch and the Ursula that you might want to play already, but you could sing with the Ursula, for example, the 3-cost, and then shift this on, right? Job done. This looks like such an exciting card. I really like the look of it. Songs are so powerful. If you look at a lot of the top decks in the meta right now, songs are a big reason that they're so good. Ruby Amethyst plays Friends. You've got Be Prepared. You've got obviously Amber Steel songs. You've got Ursula in Emerald singing songs. Whole New World. Songs are so powerful, so Ursula Sea Witch Queen is definitely going to be a powerhouse, and I love the idea of combining her with Emerald just for those really good shift options in particular. Really exciting card. Okay, Triton's Trident, 2-cost inkable item, also a 1 use case item, which are ones that I'm not generally a big fan of. Chosen character gets +1 this turn, +1 strength this turn for each card in your hand. This card's really bad, it won't see any play. Too expensive, doesn't draw, doesn't have multiple uses, won't see play, I think. Yen Sid, which is another legendary. This is a 2-cost inkable 1/3. This is also one of the cards which is available if you purchase Ursula's Return. You get this version of Yen Sid with this little border. That's why it's 223 out of 204. Important to note that this card will also be available in standard packs, but you just won't have this little border. This little border just shows that it was a card that you got via purchasing Ursula's Return. It functions in the exact same way. You can get Yen Sid just normally without the border, just to make that very, very clear. But if you do purchase the Ursula's Return Illumineer's Quest, which is what it's called, then you get this copy of Yen Sid. You get a Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain with this border. You get a Milan with this border as well. I think they're the 3. But all of those cards, obviously Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain we already know is in set 2 and has a standard card. Set 3 rather. Yen Sid will also have a card without this border, which will function in exactly the same way. Cool. Timely Intervention. When you play this character, if you have a character named Magic Broom in play, you may draw a card. So obviously if you can bounce Yen Sid back, you could get some card draw off it. While you have 2 or more Broom characters in play, this character gets +2 lore. So if you're playing a Broom deck, Yen Sid is drawing a card, questing for 3. Pretty damn impressive. The problem is you're going to be playing a Broom deck, so probably not ideal. Yeah. Speaking of brooms, we do have a steel broom which got revealed yesterday, I believe. Magic Broom Aerial Cleaner. It's a 2-cost inkable 2/3 card. During your turn, this character gains evasive. The big problem with this Magic Broom is if you compare it to Jafar, which is already in steel, the 3/2, as well as Cruella de Vil in Sapphire, which is the 3/2, is those cards can deal with Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer, which is pretty much the biggest evasive threat in the metagame. Also, it can deal with Pongo. This card can't, and therefore it is just strictly worse. The big advantage is, of course, that this card has Magic Broom synergy. Unfortunately, Magic Brooms are kind of bad, fortunately. This Mickey Mouse, another Magic Broom synergy card. I believe this is also a card which has a border for... You get it with like the Illumineer's Quest. Mickey Mouse, Playful Sorcerer, is a 3/4. Shift 3, Resist 1. Quest for 2. When you play this character, deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of Broom characters you have in play. Now, this is a bit of Magic Broom synergy that I'm actually interested in. This is a really big bit of payoff. The concern is you're playing subpar cards like Magic Broom, Aerial Cleaner to enable cards like this. But this card is really, really impressive. Resist 1, questing for 2. Very, very powerful. The stat line on this as well, 3-4, is really impressive. And if you can enter play, dealing 3 damage, removing something like a 3-cost Ursula, that is incredible value. So this card has potential. Again, I'm just still unconvinced by the Magic Broom archetype. Louisa Madrigal, a very pixelated image I have here. It's a 3-cost inkable, 2-4 quest for 1. While you have another character in play, this character gets +2 strength. So it's basically a 4-4 quest for 1. I mean, it's honestly not terrible. We do know that Steel at the moment, Steel Emerald decks can struggle to deal with Queen's Castle. This could be a way of dealing with it, but yeah, I don't think so. It's a no from me. We have Aerial Sonic Warrior, super rare. This is a really, really exciting card. 6-cost inkable, a 3-8, shift 4, quest for 2. Whenever you play a song, you may pay 2 ink to deal 3 damage to chosen character. That's pretty strong. So if you compare this card to Smash, for example, Smash you're paying 3 ink to deal 3, whereas Aerial Sonic Warrior is able to do this multiple times and also just has an incredible stat line. 8 willpower is incredibly difficult to remove. She is within Madame Medusa range, so Madame Medusa is going to be a nice answer to her, of course. But yeah, this card looks really, really strong and definitely a card I'm excited for. Obviously, Amber Steel Songs makes a lot of sense. You can shift this onto the 3-cost Aerial, although that's not exactly what you're going to be wanting to do often, because Aerial is a good card within her own right as just a singer. But this is a really, really exciting card. I like the look of it a lot. Anna Braving the Storm, the first of the Sapphire cards. She's a 2-cost inkable, 1-4 questing for 1. If you have another hero character in play, this character gets +1 lore. Heroes are very, very common. This card is actually pretty impressive. Comparable to Wendy Darling from Amber, who's a very good card, a 1-3 that quests for 2. Well, Anna is better if you can meet the condition every single time. So I think this card's good. I think this card's very good, actually. Hans, Noble Scoundrel, 3-2, 3-cost inkable, quest for 2. When the character is in, when you play this character, if a princess or queen character is in play, you gain 1 lore. Also pretty good. Princesses and queens are relatively common, so Hans and Anna, they have pretty good stat lines across the board. So I think this card is also pretty good. The big question is, how good is the princess and prince deck? Well, I think Sapphire is quite close in a lot of ways to having some kind of aggro deck. You've got Caterpillar, which is that 3-cost card, which quests for 3. A big problem that they've kind of struggled with a lot of the time is the 1-drops. But maybe with cards like Hans and Anna, some kind of Sapphire aggro deck, which isn't ramping, could become more of a serious option. Rapunzel, a 5-cost inkable with a 3-5 stat line, questing for 3. While you have a character named Pascal in play, this character gains Ward. And Pascal's a really good card, the 1-drop Pascal already. So some sort of Amethyst, Sapphire aggro deck with Pascal and Rapunzel looks pretty interesting. It's a really impressive stat line. Ward is a very, very powerful ability. This does mean that, for example, Madame Medusa wouldn't be able to remove her because of the Ward if you have Pascal down. So I like the look of this card quite a bit. Our next Flounder, this is also a card I haven't actually had a chance to read just yet. A 3-cost inkable card with a 2-2 stat line that quests for 2. It has support. And if you have a character named Ariel in play, you pay 1 ink less to play this character. So this, if you have Ariel, which obviously you're mainly looking at Amber with Sapphire most likely, and Ariel's pretty damn good with Sapphire already. You have How Far I'll Go, the 4-cost inkable song, uninkable song, which ramps and draws you a card. You have Let It Go. So Flounder in an Amber Sapphire deck looks like a pretty good option. That's a really impressive stat line for a 2-cost card. Questing for 2 with support. Honestly, this card looks pretty damn impressive. I like the look of it. If you're paying 3 for it, not so much, but if you're paying less, obviously there's also this new Aerial card in Steel. Yeah, looks like an interesting card for sure. Also worth noting, the support keyword gives you some synergy perhaps with Alice, the set 2 legendary, which doesn't really see any play. Probably not, but support is just a really good keyword in general. One that I would expect to get better. Like, a lot of the problem that a lot of the support cards have is that they're just not actually that good outside of the support keyword. But this card is good. Questing for 2. If you're paying 2 for it, it's good. If you're paying 3, it's not that bad either. So I think this card's okay and could see some play in the right deck. It really depends on, is Sapphire Amber actually going to be good? And this is a step in the right direction. One thing Sapphire Amber struggles with is board control. So this support, giving like a 1/3 Daisy Duck support that you played on turn 1, and suddenly is a 3/3 to remove something, gives the deck maybe a little bit of legs. Also, if there's a cheaper aerial, a 1-cost aerial, right, that you could play, you play this on 2, pretty nice. Ursula's Garden onto Emerald, and Emerald is the most exciting ones for me. Let me just move my camera slightly. Ursula's Garden is the only location we've had revealed so far. It's a 4-cost inkable card. It costs 2 to move a card that has 7 willpower. So we're looking at kind of Queen's Castle range, only gaining 1 lore per turn. While you have an exerted character here, opposing characters get -1 lore. Wow. So if you have like a Pascal, a Tinkerbell, some kind of evasive card into Ursula's Garden, that's pretty strong. This card is interesting. It's very, very interesting. Is it good? I don't know. Locations are still a weird one in general. It's certainly an interesting card. Emerald already has some cards which are trying to slow the game down. For example, Lyle Tiberius Roke, which is that 3-cost uninkable from set 3, which every time one of your characters is banished, your opponent loses a lore. Maybe with Jim Hawkins, Ursula's Garden could be an option. That deck's just going to... Emerald and Ruby really struggles for card draw at the moment. But this is an interesting card, that's for sure. 7 willpower locations we know are pretty difficult to remove. The main problem is spending 2 to move a card in there is pretty slow. But this looks like an interesting card for sure. I'm liking the look of it. Signed Contract, a 2-cost inkable item. Whenever an opponent plays a song, you may draw a card. Okay. Emerald struggles for card draw. Prince John is kind of the man for that reason. And every deck plays songs. So Signed Contract looks like a bit of a juicer. Obviously, if it gets removed by something like Benja, you feel bad. But Signed Contract, for example, in a Emerald Ruby deck is exactly the kind of card draw you're looking for, really. There is Airfoil already, but Airfoil is not a card I'm a huge fan of. I think Signed Contract is going to get more value than Airfoil consistently. It is slow, worth mentioning. You play this on turn 2, and then, you know, if your opponent plays 1 song, then you draw 1. But if you can slow your opponent down with cards like Lyle Tiberius Roke, maybe Ursula's Garden, then this is going to get out of hand really, really quickly. It's a really interesting card. Again, it is important to mention that this is a very, very slow opening, so you're going to need some board control quite quickly with Signed Contract. Otherwise, your opponent's going to run away with the game. But that's where a card like Lyle Tiberius Roke on turn 3 could give you some staying power, perhaps. Very, very exciting card, that's for sure. As mentioned already, so many of the top decks in the game are playing songs, and so Signed Contract is really, really interesting. Oh my goodness. This is the card I'm most excited for. It's Pascal without the condition, and Pascal is very, very good. Pegasus, Gift for Hercules, a 1/1 evasive card. Wow, this card's insane. If you look at Emerald Steel right now, for example, a big problem that deck has, a big weakness, is the lack of good 1-drops alongside Merfolk. At the moment, I'm playing the 1-cost Robin Hood without the shift, just as a quester. You can play Captain Hook, which is a bad quester, but Pegasus is just slotting into that deck beautifully. Incredible card. Pascal pretty underrated in general because Amethyst already has some of the best 1-drops in the game. You've got Rafiki, you've got Chernobog's Followers. Very, very competitive slots for the 1-drops, but Pegasus, wow. This card's so good, man. This card is so, so good. It's going to see play in pretty much every Emerald deck. An Emerald with Pegasus Merfolk. Merfolk is the best turn 1 play when going first in the game, and Pegasus is the best turn 1 play probably when going second in the game, I would say. Wow, this is an insane card. We don't talk about Bruno. Oh my goodness, another incredible card. 5-cost uninkable song. And it's an action, of course, as well. Return chosen character to their player's hands. Then that player discards a card at random. At random? Oh my goodness. This is like Mother Knows Best with a discard mixed in. Obviously, if you can sing this with something like Ariel, that is going to be incredible value. If you have a Prince John down on the board, you're going to be getting card draw from it. If they have no cards in hand when you do this, the card just gets discarded instantly. That's a combo that you often try and set up with Mother Knows Best in discard decks. You play the Mother Knows Best to then discard the card. Well, this is it all built into one. The other thing to really mention with this card that's very interesting is it's the first card which is discarding at random. All the other discard cards in the game are the player who is discarding's choice, or with Ursula, the 2-cost and bare necessities, you get to choose the song, the player discarding, and then Sudden Chill, Hypnotize, Friar Tuck, Lucifer, it's the player who is discarding that chooses. But this one is random, and that is just inherently more powerful than cards like Hypnotize, cards like Friar Tuck, because they don't get to choose. I would imagine the way it works is probably the player, let's say I play, we don't talk about Bruno, you, my opponent, then shuffle your hand, like just show your hand kind of face down, and I just pick a card, and that is the card which gets discarded. I would imagine that's how it's going to work. So I played Bruno, you put the card in your hand, you kind of shuffle your hand under the table a bit, you reveal to your opponent, I pick a card from face down, that card goes into the discard pile. And that's really powerful, because then you might hit their best card in your hand. You might hit the card that you just bounce back, but you might hit their Be Prepared or whatever it might be, right? So of course it also has the potential of low rolling and hitting something that's bad, that they would have just wanted to discard, but that's what your cards like Sudden Chill, cards like Hypnotize, cards like Friar Tuck do anyway, right? And obviously if they just have one card in hand, it's just really good. This card's amazing. It gives you a reason to play Amber with Emerald, which at the moment struggles a little bit. You don't really have much board presence, but with an Aerial being able to sing this nice and early, with a Prince John down as well, really, really, really cool card. Big fan. You guys know me, I do love a bit of Emerald. I think that's the last card. It is. So those are all the reveals that we have so far in DC Lorcana. There are a few unofficial reveals as well that I'm not going to cover. I'm going to wait until all of the cards are officially revealed. But there'll be another video probably at the end of the week. I guess we can do it in kind of sets of 30 or so. Yeah, make sure you subscribed. If you enjoyed and watched the video this far, let me know in the comments. Let's say we do talk about Bruno is the little thing in the comments you can write to let me know you watched the whole video. So if you watched the whole video, write in the comments, we do talk about Bruno, because we did. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Really excited for set 4. Yeah, take care. Bye now.